Hey guys, good morning. Happy Wednesday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and early 6 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, I wasn't even planning on making this video. Something happened to me. I ran into two people that I went to not just the high school with, but all 12 years of school with. I ran into they're a couple now, a guy and a girl, and I ran into them at a local pizza place. This is just this last Saturday. And they were intoxicated, I could tell. You guys know I've been clean and sober for 15 years, since October 23rd, 2006. Not a drop of booze, absolutely 100% clean and sober. The guy was somebody I used with in my 20s. We weren't really friends in high school or anything, but all my relationships in my 20s and 30s were like this. I hung out with people that I hated, really, just because we used. It was a sad existence, but that's not what this video is about. Now the girl I knew all through school. The girl used to pick on me. Yeah, I used to get picked on. Let me give you the background here. You guys know I died. My father died when I was 9 of brain cancer. He was the park ranger at a local state park, and I grew up in the woods. I'd go on runs. I'd go on garbage runs on the dump truck with the crews from the state park. A lot of times I spent on my own. I was overweight. I was the biggest guy in my class, but I was very quiet because I grew up kind of on my own. I was kind of introverted. I like to read. I build dams all day. One other guy moved in about a mile up the road, a kid my age, and this was later on, and this is the one friend I had. But because I was quiet, I got picked on when I was a little overweight, and I got picked on a lot when I was younger. And all right, so I run into this couple Saturday night. The girl is one of these people that picked on me. And you could tell both these guys had a buzz. I could tell that this guy was still using. I used to use cocaine with him, and you could tell without a doubt he's just babbling away. I couldn't even understand what he was saying. He was talking so fast. And the girl was slurring her words. And she says, "I've seen you on Facebook," she goes. "Oh my God, can I touch your chest?" I'm not, now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this isn't, to puff myself up, to brag or anything. Let me keep going here, because this is pretty much the opposite of that. She's like, "Oh my God, can I?" And she's already touching me. She's already got her hand out. She's rubbing up on me before she even finishes the question. So, it's not a real, she's going to do it one way or the other. I look at the guy. Now, he never had any backbone, and he's just kind of laughing. He's not even jealous, really. He doesn't really care, I don't think. He's probably just concerned about when the next time he's going to go into the bathroom to get another rip. So he doesn't even look jealous, and he kind of laughs it off and everything. So she feels up my chest and everything, and she's "Oh, I seen you, I can't, honestly, my mind's going 100 miles an hour. Let me tell you why. Back in 5th and 6th grade, especially, this is one of the girls that I got picked on by girls. She was in a clique, the cutest girls, the most attractive, popular girls. And I remember specifically in one 5th grade class, she was sitting in front of me. You guys remember Audrey, my ex-girlfriend that just passed away? Well, she was in this class too, and she was seated a couple of rows over and behind me. And we were boyfriend and girlfriend, and I think, I don't know if the popular girls were jealous of me having a relationship. I don't know what it was, but the teacher left the room. And this girl, that girl that asked to rub my chest and everything Saturday, this is about 45 years ago, right? She turns around and the whole class is quiet, and she starts picking on me. She says, "Is Audrey your girl? Is Audrey your girlfriend, or are you her girlfriend?" And I remember her specific, and the whole class starts laughing. The teacher's out of the room, and she's turned around and she's leaning into me, and I'm quiet. I just didn't have it in me at that point to get into a confrontation. That came later. And she says, "Do you hump her?" I remember these words specifically. "Are you humping her? Do you guys hump?" And I remember looking over at Audrey, and she's just so embarrassed, and she's got her head down. We hadn't even kissed, and this girl, this popular girl, is just, the whole rest of the class is just quiet and then laughing and listening to everything, watching, and my face is turning red and I'm shaking. And it's finally over. I was so mad. I was so mad. I remember telling my friends and going to the bus later, I said, I'm going to beat her up. I don't care if she's a girl. And this got back to her. And she actually was nice to me after that because she was scared. So I was the biggest guy in all my classes all through school, but I never used it. I was overweight and quiet. This came later. And here it is, this same girl that just was one of the worst days of my life, most embarrassing, painful days of my life, and Audrey, and her. And not too long after that, we kind of parted ways after a while. Then we got back together just in 2015. And I have to wonder if it was because I gained more weight too after this, so I broke my leg skiing. And I always wondered if Audrey broke up with me because of that embarrassing situation with this one girl. So this girl, it's like she doesn't even remember. She does, she's like, can I rub your chest? And she's rubbing all over me. And this is the same person that I still remember 45 years ago that made my life a living hell. And I don't feel, I feel angry. I feel angry that this person, that was one of the worst days of my life. It affected my life profoundly. And I don't think she even remembers it, and it's just all about her and the way people, because I didn't look, I was overweight then, so I was just somebody to be picked on. Now that I look good, now she's nice to me. It's just how shallow this person is. So I was picked on a lot. Around the age of 14, we had to move out after my father died. We had to move out of the state house because he was my father was dead and no longer the park ranger. And my mother went to school, started working hard, going to college, becoming basically a mother and a father. And she bought a house, but it was in the poor part of town. It was in a connected. It was on the bad side of the tracks. And when I moved, I used to bicycle back to the old park, like 10 miles every day. And I grew. This is when I was about 13 or 14, so I grew even taller, about 6'4", and I lost weight, I gained muscle. So between 7th and 8th, going into 9th grade, freshman year, I went from an overweight, quiet guy to, like freshman year, I was dating a junior girl that was popular, that was on the volleyball team. I turned into a totally different person. And another thing too is once I moved to this city, or this part of the town, eventually, most guys won't admit this, but most guys are terrified. If they've never actually punched somebody, especially in the face, they're terrified of it. And I got picked on every day. I remember these people, they'd take my ice skates, my clothes, my shoes, and one day I just had enough. And I just hauled off, and I punched one of the main bullies and dropped him. And I didn't even feel the connection. And the look of shock on the other bullies, his backup guys, their faces. And after that, it came easy to me, too easy. It was almost like a drug. I remember I feel so elated. My arms would go numb. I'd get tunnel vision, and I would never feel the impact. And then after, I'd kind of crash. I'd feel guilty, and I'd wonder if when this was going to catch up to me, if I'd have to look over my shoulder. It reminded me so much of a drug. I almost craved it, and it was an immediate rush, and then a crash. And I lived a good part of my life like this until I got clean and sober just 15 years ago. Where it's still one of the things that I fight with. Is that initial anger where I start to get that rush of adrenaline. But, I think ahead now. I use empathy a lot. I think, why? Why is somebody doing this to me? And that has been a big key for me, is understanding the other person, why they're doing this to me. If somebody cuts you off in traffic, you put yourself in their position. Maybe it's not even about me. This person's had a bad, you don't know what's going on in somebody else's life. And, empathy. It's been huge. So, you know, it's one of one of my faults that I've been working very hard to overcome. And when I watch pictures of January 6th, the anger in these guys, it reminds me a lot of who I was. You know, initially, like I said, I was terrified of hitting somebody, and then just letting all that anger out, that rush. That's what I see, and that's what scares me. When I look back at what happened in Washington, D.C. in January there, I see a lot of these guys are bullies, but then a lot of the people that are following them are people that were like me, pent up frustration, that had been picked on or whatever, felt picked on their whole lives, and it was just like this release of animal anger, and it just reminded me so much of who I used to be and what I used to deal with. And I'm still working on these faults now. But anyway, I just wanted to share that. I see I'm running along on time. I wanted to share that with you. This just happens, like I said, this girl, you know, and then they wandered away. They wandered off. Like I said, they were both intoxicated. But this same girl that had made my life a living hell, that I could still remember 45 years later, made me and Audrey's life miserable that day. And she was all, you know, and she probably thought she was complimenting me Saturday by rubbing up all over me. And she had no idea how angry I was and disgusted inside. But forgiveness is another big thing too. And I got to realize too that she's probably got a lot of issues. God knows how she grew up and why she acted like she was acting. You know, that's part of empathy too. And just, you know, realizing that other people are going through things and it's not just all about me. Putting myself in their position and just letting it go. Like they said, hate is like a poison. It destroys the vessel it's in. And on that little piece of wisdom, you guys have a great Wednesday. I'll be back later with another video.